The Indian entertainment industry is constantly creating new adaptations of Hindu devotional stories that aim to present innovative, refreshing takes on classic tales, or delve more deeply into specific characters. Attitudes toward modern spiritual shows seem to be overwhelmingly positive. Given the success of shows like Radhakrishna, Ram, and Srimad Ramayan, the demand for spiritual shows in India appears strong and is perhaps increasing due to the convenience of streaming services. These shows tend to receive favorable reviews no matter what or whom they're about, suggesting that Indians are eager to consume spiritual content of any kind. Seeing our favorite characters portrayed on screen elicits a uniquely devotional experience that might not be accessible by reading the text alone. Based on online reviews and comments, Indians consider many factors when deciding whether or not to watch a spiritual show. Scriptural accuracy, as defined by the individual, is only one of those things. Other factors include the quality of the writing, acting, music, costumes, VFX, and the overall experience viewers have while watching. Does the show make them feel good, at peace, in touch with the highest teachings? Does the show make them believe they're actually watching their beloved characters come to life? Producers consider all these factors when creating spiritual shows. As you can imagine, it's pretty difficult to excel at all of these things and make everyone happy. At the end of the day, producers are contractually motivated to ensure their shows do well commercially. That's how everyone gets paid. Producers must balance accuracy with entertainment value. In other words, what's going to look best on screen? What's going to be the most interesting way to show the events? You might have noticed that spiritual shows nowadays might be more entertaining than their predecessors, in that they place greater emphasis on glossy cinematography, vibrant colors, bright lights, and editing than they do writing. That's not to say modern shows are all written poorly, they're just built differently.
दुनिया भर में बहुत बड़े बड़े शोज बन रहे हैं, लोग अपने माइथोलॉजी पे बहुत काम कर रहे हैं। टेक्नोलॉजी अब हमने लोगों से लेना शुरू किया है, बाहर से आना शुरू हुआ है। अब हमारे पास पैसे आने लगे हैं, हम पहले से ज़्यादा महंगा और पहले से ज़्यादा बेहतर सोच सकते हैं, इससे भी बेहतर सोचेंगे। अगले 20 साल बाद तुम्हें पता नहीं क्या हम क्या करने जाएंगे रामायण।
They tend to include scenes that are more fun than instructive and present the characters in ways that are more relatable than aspirational. And I don't think that's automatically bad. This type of writing can make spiritual shows more attractive and accessible to people who don't consider themselves spiritual or religious. Watching a fun take on ancient characters can open the door to new people thinking about God. I think that's really good. Young people in particular are using social media to interact with and discuss their favorite spiritual shows. They create posts, memes, reels, and TikToks of images and scenes, put filters on them, and add modern music in the background. It's a new way of engaging with spiritual content. But producers would do well to remember that making spiritual shows for the masses comes with greater responsibility. While these shows are technically entertainment, they're culturally more significant. Indians tend to consider this genre to be a pillar of society, a visual representation of religious and social values, a source of core identity. Therefore, the writing and acting in spiritual shows can potentially impact how people think and behave more than in worldly shows. If a main character does something that doesn't align with what people expect of them and isn't supported in the source text, it might confuse, disturb, or mislead the public. In other words, the teaching can become unclear at best. Spiritual shows are different from worldly family dramas or comedies in that the main characters are meant to be emulated from head to toe. Showing the good characters do something a little too human or regular can make it difficult for us to wholeheartedly look up to them. People could look at this behavior and misinterpret the teachings in the scripture. What if they spread the wrong information? That can feel a little scary. So while I believe many artistic choices in spiritual shows allow for greater appreciation and interest in the text, other choices could potentially cause harm by engendering misconceptions about the teachings and underlying philosophy. Now let's get specific.